I'll never forget the morning they rolled up like some discount version of cops, two black SUVs screeching to a halt in front of my gate, red and blue lights flashing like a clearance sale at Walmart. Four men jumped out in matching black uniforms with patches that read HOA Security Enforcement, shouting that I was under arrest. Neighbors gasped, curtains fluttered, and there was Karen, our HOA president, in her fire engine red suit, standing back with a smirk that could curdle milk. If I hadn't seen the party store badges and the plastic handcuffs with the price tag still dangling, maybe I would have been scared. But the real punchline was still coming, the sound of rotors and real sirens bearing down right behind them. I never asked for any of this. After 25 years of grinding 9 to 5, I bought my little farmhouse on rolling acres to get away from nonsense. My deed was crystal clear. No HOA, no dues, no newsletters telling me what color my shutters had to be. I thought I was finally free. But freedom didn't sit well with Karen Morgan, the self-appointed queen of Pine Ridge Estates. She marched across my driveway, my very first week clipboard clutched like it was scripture, and barked that I needed to register with her HOA immediately. I laughed, told her she had the wrong guy. My land wasn't in her development. That smile of hers froze on the spot like she'd just swallowed a lemon whole. Everyone follows the rules, she snapped. We can't have outsiders lowering property values. That was my welcome. From that day forward, the neighborhood split. Some retirees brought me pies, saying they envied me for being free of Karen's iron fist. Others avoided me altogether. Karen, though, never let up. Rumors flew. My fence was dangerous, my barn illegal, my tractor unsightly. Then came the letters, fake compliance notices with golden seals that looked like they'd been drawn by a kid with crayons. One claimed I owed $120 in dues. Another said my driveway encroached on common land. I burned the first few in the barrel with junk mail, laughing at the absurdity. But then I noticed the effect. Mrs. Parker stopped waving. The Wilson kids darted away when they saw me. Lies on paper carried weight, and Karen knew it. Things escalated. Black SUVs idled at the end of my lane, headlights off. A guy with a telephoto lens snapped photos of my barn. Once I spotted men in polos embroidered with HOA security arms, crossed tattoos showing like they'd been pulled straight out of a biker bar. Karen strutted up with them one hot afternoon while I was unloading hay. "This is your final warning," she announced. I wiped sweat from my brow and said, "Ma'am, the only thing I'm failing to comply with is your imagination." Her face turned crimson and she snapped her fingers like a mob boss. The goons leaned in. I just laughed. But that night when I saw those SUVs parked under the trees, I realized she wasn't bluffing. She was plotting something bigger. That's when the doubt started eating at me. Letters kept piling up. My pond was a pest hazard, my barn a fire risk, my tractor unsightly machinery. Neighbors pulled back further. I caught myself staring at the notices longer than I wanted to admit, wondering if maybe I was the problem. Maybe I should just sell and move on. Pride kept me rooted, but there were nights I sat on the porch staring at those headlights at the end of my lane thinking, what if she's right? What if I don't belong here? For the first time, I felt truly cornered. Then came the turning point. I installed cameras, motion sensors, infrared, the whole deal. Within 2 nights, I had footage of Karen herself, heels clicking in the gravel, slipping fake letters into my mailbox at midnight. The red blazer gave her away like a scarlet flag. The next morning, I taped a printout of her sneaking photo right to the mailbox with a sticky note. "Smile for the camera." By noon, she was back at my gate, screaming bloody murder. "You can't film me," she shrieked. I leaned on the porch rail. "On my property, lady, I can film squirrels if I want." She stomped away, heels sinking in the dirt. That's when I knew I wasn't crazy. She was crossing lines, and I wasn't imagining it. But Karen didn't back down. She doubled down. More letters, more threats, and finally, the absurd climax, she created her own police. One Saturday morning, I was halfway through my second cup of coffee when sirens wailed tinny, distorted like someone downloaded an app on their phone. 2 black SUVs barreled around the corner, cheap light bars duct taped to the roof. They slammed to a stop, tires spitting gravel, and out spilled 4 wannabe cops in mismatched black uniforms. "Step forward and place your hands behind your back." one barked voice trembling. Karen emerged right behind them, clipboard clutched, lips curled in triumph. "It's over, Mr. Thompson," she purred. "You'll face the consequences." I raised my phone high, the red record light glowing. "Karen, if I didn't know better, I'd say you raided the costume aisle at Party City." The neighbors laughed nervously. Karen screeched for her men to arrest me. One pulled out zip ties, another rattled my gate like he could tear it down. I told them calmly, "Touch that gate and you're trespassing. Every second of this is on film." For a split moment, doubt flickered on their faces. Karen stomped her heel. "Do it now." That was her fatal mistake, because just then I heard it, the deep, steady thump of helicopter rotors, not tinny sirens, but the real thing. Shadows swept across the street as armored SUVs rolled in behind the fake lights, flashing engines roaring. Neighbors gasped, some recording on their phones, others shielding their kids. The imposters froze mid-stride. One muttered, "Oh hell." Karen spun around, expecting reinforcements, her arms wide like Moses parting the sea. "See?" she shouted. "Even more support has arrived." But when the tactical SUVs screeched to a halt and men in full gear poured out, rifles ready, reality hit like a hammer. These weren't HOA cops. This was SWAT. "Sheriff's Department. Drop your weapons," the commander thundered. The imposters dropped like sacks of potatoes, fumbling with their toy radios and zip ties. Karen's face twisted in panic. "Wait. You don't understand. They're with me." The SWAT officer ignored her. "On the ground now." One fake cop actually pulled a spray-painted airsoft pistol from his holster, and for a moment time froze. "Gun," an officer shouted. The helicopter's spotlight snapped onto him, blinding. He dropped it instantly, sobbing. Mrs. Parker fainted into her husband's arms. Kids screamed. The circus had become deadly serious. Karen refused to yield. "This is HOA jurisdiction." "You have no authority here," she screeched, waving her clipboard like it was Excalibur. One officer calmly twisted it from her handpapers, scattering across the street phony fines and bogus citations fluttering like confetti. The crowd laughed, relieved but shaky, the spell finally broken. Karen thrashed, shouting she was the president. The SWAT leader didn't blink. "Ma'am, you are under arrest for conspiracy impersonating law enforcement and obstruction." When the cuffs clicked around her wrists, real steel, not plastic zip ties, the entire neighborhood erupted in cheers. I stood behind my gate, dust swirling, phone still recording, and felt the weight of months lift from my chest. Karen's empire had crumbled right there in the cul-de-sac, her fake cops zip-tied with their own gear, her clipboard kingdom reduced to scraps on the pavement. The neighbors, once too afraid to make eye contact, laughed openly now. And me? I just leaned on the fence and let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. The HOA queen was dethroned at last. Bullies only win when fear keeps people silent, stand tall and their house of cards collapses.